Looks like it's getting ready to pick up. Might be going. What the heck? It's like holding it in the preview mode. Yep. Come on, YouTube. It normally like picks up and starts rolling, but now it's just sitting at the preview mode and says it's failing to start event. And the preview looks fine. Let's give it a second. Preview looks good. Yeah, we're twitching, Phoenix. We're having some issues with YouTube, though, it looks like. Looks fine. Yes, I want to start the stream. Event still. All right, there we go. Now it finally looks like it's starting. Let's confirm.
Still tells me live stream starting soon.
That's what I see too. Silly YouTube.
XSplit appears to be working. There it goes.
There we go. All right, now we are finally live on YouTube and Twitch. YouTube is giving us issues today, apparently. But anyway, welcome to the Foolish Tech Show. It is Thursday afternoon, and we are here mainly to provide you with support and answer any questions about our products and services. Of course, if you have any of those, you can feel free to jump over to our webpage, foolishtechshow.com. We have a couple ways you can join our IRC chat from there. And with that, we'll be more than happy to interrupt whatever we may be talking about to talk about our products and services first and foremost. Otherwise, we're going to fill the dead air with random shop talk. And if you'd like to participate in that, feel free to jump over to our chat there as well. Just keep in mind any opinions expressed here are of the individual that expressed them and not of the company itself. So on that, how's everybody's Thursday going?
Going well.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. Well, today was a hard day, it sounded like. Proctor, you had some issues. Michael, you had some issues.
I don't even want to talk about today.
All I heard was that you had to have a meter replaced. What happened to get to that point?
Someone tried to break into the office last night at 12:30 a.m. and they ripped out the power meter out of the building and tried to kick in the back door. They didn't have any luck with the door, but they took off with the power meter.
Ouch! This
Consolation
thing's.
prize.
What, John?
Consolation prize.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Like
Those
they
things-
want your power meter over their power meter.
Somebody's
things
still in
aren't
power
cheap,
today.
I wonder, you're gonna have to keep an eye on your power bill, especially if it's a smart one. It might pick up as yours.
Ain't nothing smart in that town.
It's possible. And Michael, you had a hard drive fail, you said?
Yeah. I just happened to be where we synced some data together, and yeah. So I had to. I'll do nothing. I reformatted the drive. It theoretically is still semi-functional, but it's gonna completely fail on me one of these days. So I'm down another couple of terabytes, and it's depressing. I'm gonna have to order 5 or 6 terabyte, just like Proctor did now.
And then Proctor is even further. He couldn't even start his computer once they got the power back on. So luckily there was a tech shop close by.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have as depressing news. I've got the bulk stuff slightly working away, still working out one little issue here or there, but looking good for Crypto Prevent V8 bulk coming up. And yeah, so that's good stuff there. Michael, Phoenix told you to stop deleting your System32 files. And looks like Phoenix has got a couple links here for us already, so I'll repost them for anyone that might have missed them here. I had just seen this one come across the wire, so I hadn't gotten a chance to look at it yet, but apparently a hacking firm, Cellebrite, got hacked, and they had 900 gigabytes of data stolen. See if I can find, is that the same link? Yeah, that one's going to Hacker News. This one's coming from motherboard.vice.com, so you can check them both out there. And Cellebrite is popular with U.S. federal and law enforcement agencies, and those are the people that did the iPhone hacking, isn't it? Yeah, same people that cracked the phone for the FBI. So their data got hacked, so any data that they've been hacking to get is possibly compromised now. So interesting there. And let's see what other links we got. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see if they actually, whoever hacked them, gives away the data. Phoenix also pointed out that Google removes Mega front page from search results. What is Mega front page? Motherboard already has the hacking data. I'm guessing I can't search for Mega front page and know what it is, huh? Nope, just comes up with that torrent-free article. And let's see what they seem to do. Oh, it's a torrent site, torrent search engine. Yeah, if their front page has a bunch of torrents listed on it, of course it's going to get DMCA'd. Yeah. Oh, so it's Kim.com's file hosting company. You would think you would move into a different industry. Guess not, though. Other news looks like Easy to Boot has a new version, 1.88H, now available. So if you're interested in staying on the cutting edge there, you can update those. Phoenix, are you updating your Easy to Boot every single time he comes out with an update for it, or because usually with booting stuff, I kind of like to get it configured, set up, and stick with what I know works unless I find an issue that needs an update to fix it. Check the logs to see if there is anything. Yeah, with booting stuff, I kind of want to make sure it works when I need it, especially. So I usually hold off on updating them unless I find something that is broken and needs an update for it. So it doesn't override any config files, but you know, updates can cause issues. So I kind of prefer to have my booting media solid, not risk any changes of anything. So not like it would change the config files or custom menu stuff. It just like something in how it acts might change and throw me for a loop when I'm trying to boot into something. And usually if I'm using that kind of utility, it's not the kind of time that I want to be trial and erroring things and finding out something else is broken to get to there. So, but cool that he does seem to come out with updates quite regularly. So it's awesome. Then Phoenix also pointed out that Trump's CIA nominee wants a massive surveillance database of Americans. I guess that's not really surprising. It's like picking the worst person for every single job that there could be appointed by. So we'll just see how things turn out like that. Yeah, and I say that any of the software I've used from Steve works fairly well. I use RM Prep quite a bit, and do use Easy to Boot as well. So then let's see what else. Looks like there's $220 off a Dell Latitude 7000. So if you're in the market for a new laptop, there's a good deal for you. I thought this one was interesting. GoDaddy revokes nearly 9,000 SSL certificates issued without proper validation. It kind of, when I read it, I was like, oh, we aren't using GoDaddy for our SSL, but then I remembered that we're not. So, yeah, crazy that they went through 9,000 of them before they got to that. And let's see if I had a link on that too. Let's see if it's the same one. PC World. This one's coming from Threat Post. And I think there was one other one here. Yeah, here's the official statement from GoDaddy as well. So, yeah. Apparently, any of them issued from July 29th, 2016 to January 10th, 2017. Ooh. Approximately 6,100 customers have been affected. That's not going to be good for their reputation, probably. I bet a lot of people are going to move to Let's Encrypt after that. Let's see, had some other links here. So it looks like also battery packs on second generation boosted boards have been recalled. Those are those motorized skateboards. You can definitely see one if you watch that YouTube guy, Casey or Kasem or something like that. He rides around on a boosted board. They do look pretty cool. I looked into them, but they are fairly expensive for what they offer. So, did not entice me that much. So. And good thing too, because I probably would have gotten the updated boosted board, so they would have recalled it. Yeah, thanks, Phoenix Casey Neistat. Yeah, he uses the boosted board. So some other interesting things here. I got a couple things for the Raspberry Pi. If you are someone that forgets to remove the tea bag from your tea, this person felt that way and designed a Raspberry Pi hooked up to a old CD-ROM to automatically remove the tea bag from his tea. Thought that was pretty cool. And then even cooler, which has been out for quite some time, but Johnny just showed it to me yesterday. It looks like this article was just a couple days ago as well. But I thought this was pretty awesome. A Raspberry Pi Death Star vision display. So it uses a bunch of LEDs, and man, why can I not copy that? There we go. Copy that link right. So this uses a bunch of LEDs spinning at a high rate of speed in a Raspberry Pi to make a Death Star globe, essentially. It's pretty freaking awesome looking. Definitely a cool project if you want to get into that. Proctor, I expect to see one next week. I know you want one.
I'm sorry, I'm working on some other stuff. I wasn't paying attention.
It's a Death Star globe made up by LEDs, like spinning around.
Cool.
And he used a Raspberry Pi as it. It looks freaking awesome.
Oh, that does look awesome.
And I thought these were kind of interesting. I'll put a description in here and then those two YouTube links. So there's one. So apparently Colorado had some 80 to 90 mile per hour gust of wind, and it does get extremely windy out there. But I'd never seen this where a semi truck was actually blown over by a gust of wind. That would be pretty scary to be following on the highway behind. And then there's another one where two pine trees end up getting ripped out of the ground and falling over. So thought those were pretty crazy. And when I've been driving in Colorado previously, I have had winds where my Jeep kind of started rocking back and forth, and I had to stay pretty hard on the wheel to stay in my lane. And I thought this was a pretty interesting video as well. It's a video where kids try to describe color to a blind person. And kind of cute, I guess, but it also makes you realize how difficult it would be to
How sad too. Yeah.
describe color.
Color is such a beautiful thing, and to capture that and convey that.
Wow, you would really not be a good person to describe color to a blind person. I don't even know how you do it without seeing color, man. It's so amazing. You might as well just give up now.
I didn't mean it quite like that. Quite like that.
I mean, if you think about it, it's extremely difficult to describe color to someone who has never seen any kind of color. So,
I can think of some mental it's a good mental exercise, but you'd have to have some sort of new way of defining it. Maybe like doing something like what a computer would do to understand the color concept. Has varying values of sorts, but again, without something that they could see to
yeah, I was gonna
have
say,
that.
how's that gonna help someone that's blind though? Like,
Well, it's just that they might be able to potentially using a piece of equipment that could see, they could detect the difference, but that's not the same thing as conveying the meaning of color to someone. That's just
yeah.
but anyway.
The only way I was thinking was like if you, like, I would think possibly, and I guess it would be interesting to find out, like, a common a phrase that you would commonly hear would be when you get so angry you see red. Like, I would wonder if they have that same kind of feeling behind that emotion. Like, I know they can't see red, but like it's not that you actually like start seeing everything as red, but it's like a red emotion kind of takes over. I wonder if that would apply, or
I don't know.
all
I
the
need.
same or something.
All right, we got any blind listeners out there? Let's run
Yeah,
some
let us
tests.
know. We'd be interested.
No, I mean, I gotta believe this is a good question. I gotta believe there's something like that, but I just don't believe it's going to be specific enough. Like they may envision a bad emotion or a stressful emotion or an intense emotion or something like that, but it does not necessarily mean that they'll see red in their heads. I mean, I don't. When I get upset, I might use the expression, but I don't. That's not what's really happening. I don't think to me. It's just a convenient way of conveying something, because it's also hard to express emotion in words as well. So.
But it would be interesting to find out more. Because I would guess like do they have mental images of anything at all? Like, that's kind of interesting as well. Like,
I mean, blind from birth? No, I don't think so.
Like, what would dreams play out as? Just sound?
I don't know what dreams. I don't know the answers to these questions. All right, I can figure them out though. I got Google. Let's see here.
I don't know if Google would be the
And
best way.
blind people dream. Wow, it's an actual common question. If someone has been totally blind since birth, they only have auditory dreams.
So yeah, you don't really have any convey color, and I guess really color doesn't matter at that point, honestly. Well, moving on from that, I thought this was pretty interesting. Apparently, Google has a new image compression tech, and currently it only works with Google Plus. But it's in a bid to save mobile data, because they charge you outrageous amounts for it. But they call it RASIR, RASIR, standing for Rapid and Accurate Super Image Resolution. Reads large photos and manages to replicate them using a quarter of the pixels. So that's pretty cool. It kind of reminded me of the Silicon Valley compression, inside out compression. Yeah, and Glenn, those questions are the ones that ended up coming through for the kids. Like, they were trying to explain it to a blind person, and he was like, he did ask them if they could make a sound that would describe certain colors to them, and something else, asked for a phrase. And I think at the end of the video, it was like one of the kids said that a color made them feel like a unicorn was throwing up in their mouth or something along those lines. Very strange. Anyway, back on this image compression thing, it would be really awesome if they got this to work across all things, because Hangouts has the most aggravating thing of where you take a super nice photo with your camera and then you send it to someone on Hangouts and they give you like this little compressed almost thumbnail image to view on their side. It's so aggravating, to the point where you almost have to upload it to another service and then share the link for that so that they can actually see the actual picture there. But they said it's saved almost 75% in bandwidth per image. It upscales like that. Thought that was pretty cool. And let's see. Here's some things to keep in mind for trying to stay anonymous. Apparently, there are quite a few ways to fingerprint you and your web browser. Some of these things I knew about. Some of them kind of actually make interesting points there, like the screen resolution, which is why Tor browser doesn't let you maximize anymore, because they found out people were being tracked by screen resolution. But it can also detect the number of CPU virtual cores, audio context, the list of fonts you have installed, the line, curve, and anti-aliasing that you're able to render, vertex shading.
Well, this isn't really new, is it? I mean,
It's not really new. It's just
issues.
there's a lot of things that I didn't think about. Like, most of this stuff is all based on which graphics card you have, and that can be fairly identifiable.
Yeah, but I mean, it's understandable. It's you know, in other words, this world where now software has to basically responds to capability requests, you know, to see if it can do a certain thing. It would be necessary for the browser to answer the question of whether or not it can render accelerated video content or other types of content that are dependent upon that. So I guess it's sort of a necessity for some of the conveniences that we have in place. But you're right, it is a lot of information. The only thing is, while there may be some combinations of these things that could narrow down, I gotta believe there's duplication of these values somewhere. In other words, there's a whole lot of people using a whole lot of video cards that report the whole lot of same features.
Yeah, but then they have to have the same. Like, if they had the same list of fonts installed, the same list of
I know, I just don't.
cores.
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, the number one top pick for number of cores, I think, is something like 4 or whatever, and so you know.
Well, at the end of the article, it does say that using all of these techniques combined, they're accurately able to identify 99.24% of all test users. Previous research methods only achieved a 90% result rating.
Oh, still doesn't seem like enough to get it that high, but if they claim that, I guess they have some data to suggest that's the case. Okay.
And they do mention at the very end of that Tor browser is one of the most effective against most CGF techniques, because it does normalize a lot of the things that regular browsers would make basically identifiable. So that's pretty cool. And then, like I said, they do things like they won't let you maximize all the way. You have to stretch it to various ranges. And
well, there's been various plugins to like randomize your browser strings and things like that, but it's you know, proves to be problematic, because if you start having your browser say it's, let's say hypothetically, some old school version of Firefox or something like that, and it's not, Potentially, if the browser or if the web page does something dependent upon that, it may not respond or operate as it was intended to. So, there's also information with potentially even changing some of the data. Consequences of it if you did, if you were so inclined to use it to avoid this type of fingerprinting. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and Wesker's, that it does really suck that it's really I don't know if it's so much a convenience. I think it's more of a advertising targeting stuff. So I don't know if it's convenience for anyone except for people in advertising maybe, but yeah, it is to the point of basically harassment, because I mean, yeah, if you're using different browsers and you want to prevent websites from tracking you for various different things, it's kind of aggravating that they're going to such lengths to circumvent that. But there are mitigating things like using Tor browser or using various VMs set up to stay like that. Yeah, basically the in private functions would be essentially useless against those type of targeting, because they'd still read the same stuff off of it, and that would actually be how they'd be able to link you up between in private and standard browser viewing. So very aggravating, but advertising usually is. Let's see what else we got. That one's not that interesting now that I read it again. Oh, so I thought this was interesting. Apparently, cassette tapes are making a comeback. Even major music artists like Eminem and Justin Bieber are releasing cassette tapes. I know Eminem's doing it because he prefers, I mean, that's how he released his first music, was on cassette tapes. I think every Eminem album is available as a cassette tape as well. I don't even have a cassette tape player anymore though, so not very helpful to me. And where would you buy them? I guess you would have to go on eBay or secondhand stores or something like that. I haven't seen any cassette tapes for sale recently. But maybe they're making a comeback. Maybe they'll start mass producing cassette tapes again. I hope not. I didn't like cassette tapes.
Yeah, I've seen records make a comeback, but wasn't expecting cassettes to.
Yeah. Vinyl records are definitely making a big comeback, but
Vinyl record's been making a comeback since we was kids.
yeah.
The cassette tape, I actually read an article about some company that bought up all the cassette tape making machines in the country from all the companies going out of business, and they're booming. They were had one of the most in the tech industry, the financial profit or something last year or year before.
That is an interesting way to play that. They probably got them all cheap too.
Yes, they did.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yes, they did. And I forget what they were actually making them for. I think it was like more or less, I don't know. I don't remember. But I do remember the article. I was like, oh, wow.
That's interesting.
Glad somebody's making money.
Yeah.
Cassette tapes, too.
That would be weird to. So what line of work you in? Cassette tapes? What?
But yeah, basically there's like one company that can do it now.
That sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely set themselves up good. I wonder if like they banked on like several different outgoing technologies just in case they made a comeback or something.
Oh no, I don't know. I mean, hopefully they would be if they're, but.
I mean, you would only need one. Like maybe they bought up all the mini disc patents as well. So mini disc players ever come back. But other news, apparently there's a new web browser on the market, and this one takes a slightly different approach. Some people, like this article, call it the future of web browsers, which I don't really completely agree with. So this one's called Opera Neon, and essentially it's a desktop replacement web browser. So you launch the web browser, and it kind of takes over your desktop. The first thing I thought of when I saw this was Chrome OS. I mean, like, there's actually, is it still a feature in uh, Windows 10 that you can go to Chrome virtual mode or whatever? I don't see it on the taskbar, so I don't know if it is.
Man, that was a whole mess. I don't remember. Who even knows?
Yeah, but like Chrome had a setting where you could basically enable it, and it ended up launching a Windows app that replaced your whole screen and made it basically a Chrome OS or Chromebook. That did not pan out very well for Google, so I don't see how this could be that much better. I didn't even really like the looks of it myself, so we'll see what happens. Keep an eye on it. Hey, speaking of which, Michael, you might be interested in this article. 9 common hard drive failure symptoms. So you can refresh yourself with that. Most of it's kind of like of course I would think it would be the.
Do you mean me having ignored all those smart errors in Windows saying the drive is going to fail, and me saying just don't remind me ever again on all of that stuff? Now I was I'm well aware that all the drives, I know well in advance of my drives failing. I just choose to use them till they actually do. And so that being the case, I really wait till they physically usually stop powering on or completely are unable to read and write data before I truly stop to use them. And then I just deprecate them to scratch drives where I can just, where it's not really important what the data on them is, just that I have some extra space to work with from time to time. So, yeah, and Windows actually does this on its own for the most part. Modern Windows will tell you if a drive is reporting smart data failures and things like that. So you really should be, it shouldn't come as a surprise for most users when this happens, although.
I mean, smart doesn't catch everything, though.
No, it doesn't. You're right. But
especially like some of your physical issues, like the.
For me, it has, though, seemingly.
Noises and things like that.
For me, it has. Before all those things became a problem, the drive was reporting simply something else. Now, is it possible the drive could one day work just perfectly fine, and then the minute you turn it on the next day, it starts making sounds or doing something else that Smart's probably not going to be able to diagnose accurately? Yeah, sure, it's possible, but it usually happens in a slower manner and not so abrupt as that.
Yeah. My best method of avoiding hard drive failures, I just replace my drives every 2 to 3 years. And I have them kind of separated so that I don't buy 8 hard drives all in 1 year. Like I have it so that's.
I used to save them for the neodymium, but now that the neodymium market is largely collapsed because of the opening of mines in the U.S., it's not as profitable as it used to be.
It is still good to have those magnets, though.
Oh, I like them.
You're just going to get rid of the drive anyway, so.
Yeah, I typically take the few moments to, take the 6 screws out or whatever it ends up.
I got a whole box of hard drives. I like using them for target practice. It's fun seeing what a slug does to a hard drive.
I had a tech that turned a hard drive into a speaker one time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I still have
Actually,
somewhere.
Anything mechanical is used. Floppy disks and other things like that have been used for instruments of sorts.
Sounded pretty good.
Well, I mean, because look, those sounds are very like sort of comforting to me. They were a huge part of my childhood, a huge part of my adolescence, even, and it's when it's been a part of your life for a certain period of time, you warm up to it, So that's why 8-bit still sounds good,
Can you hear me still?
Yes.
Yeah.
Check it out. I came across one of my target practice hard drives yesterday.
You weren't kidding. Yeah.
Cool.
I gotta turn the green screen off so you can actually see it better.
A lot of people, this is a big thing. There's a whole slew of videos online all over the place. It won't take you long to find them, where people have shot or otherwise destroyed technology, including hard drives. Cell phones are very common and popular to try to destroy, especially the new ones, to see how well they can hold up. Target practice.
Well, what's interesting about this one to me is so this is where a slug just barely grazed this one.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where a slug actually hit it dead on. But you can see it actually didn't go through. This is a fairly old hard drive, though. Let's see if there's any kind of dates or anything on it. No, nothing particular on it, but being an older drive, I was really surprised that it like stopped a slug. And this is a 12 gauge slug going through it. Like this will go through a car door. It'll actually through newer hard drives, it'll go straight through it. And I have some somewhere that show newer hard drives being completely ripped in shreds by them. But this older one was actually durable enough to stop a slug. And me and my friend were joking that this could be your body armor if you needed some quick impromptu DIY bulletproof vesting. Just cover yourself.
Strap on some hard drives.
Yeah. And then bam, be safe. I did think it was pretty cool too. I don't know if you'll be able to see it back there, but the actual big chip back there got cracked and broken into pieces.
Cool.
It's pretty crazy. But yeah, they're fun to shoot with hard drives. Yeah, and I've done some of those shooting videos. Actually had a TV die on me, a flat screen TV, and we took it out and shot it with shotguns and 22s. That was pretty fun. Quark wants to know if we've talked about Nano Ram, RAM made with carbon nanotubes. Have we? Michael, you would be the one.
Yeah, no, that doesn't ring a bell. Nano Ram. There
You
are
got a link to it, Quark?
types of technology. Yeah, let me see. Was this talked about at CES or demonstrated at CES?
Quark's got a link here. Fujitsu coming out with Nano Ram. 1000x performance boost. So it looks like it's aimed at replacing NAND.
Yeah, this is like Intel though. They've got their X point memory that they were basically claiming a lot of similar capabilities as far as speed and whatnot. But it's based on a different fundamental technology than this. Look, competition's good because the price of that was pretty high, and it looks like the cost may have been keeping Intel from actually integrating as quickly as they wanted to. And if this brings competition to that and an alternative and maybe better, cost profile, yeah, it's great. I love speeding up I/O. It's the biggest thing keeping a computer from moving faster is I/O. And we've made huge performance boosts recently with SSDs when that first shipped out, and now again to the PCI Express SSDs. But now we're also seeing even base RAM technologies going too. So
It looks like some manufacturers are already ramping up to do this. Most of them are targeting data center and servers, but it could make its way over to consumer market. So apparently there's someone working on a DDR4 compatible chip design.
So it could simply be a physical replace. I mean, a drop-in replacement. That would be great if they could make that happen.
Yeah. They say
Now,
that.
But the problem is, though, I would think, since there's still limited write cycles, you RAM something that's pretty much hammered the way that modern operating systems use it. I don't think that would be good for the longevity of these types of devices. I would think that it would more be a replacement for traditional NAND. But you said specifically that they were considering a DDR4 form factor, so that's kind of seems contradictory to me. But whatever.
Well, one of the statements in the article is that it could extend battery life of a mobile device in standby mode for months.
Interesting.
Awesome.
Well, they have made some NAND on DDR4 or or I don't know if it's actually 4. It might have been 3 at the time, but there are ways to do that. But like I said, the use case for it's got to be really particularly strong. And misusing that or using it in a system that isn't aware of that type of RAM could be, like I said, detrimental to its life. But we'll see.
Quark says he's more interested in the idea of building things with carbon nanotubes, and although it's cool making things smaller, he'd be more interested in seeing how long until we start making superstructures out of carbon nanotubes. Will be interesting. Man, there's a lot of detail in that.
So you're talking about those things. Did you carbon nanotubes? Did you see that graphene story? We talked about it a little bit yesterday, didn't we?
I think so. What was it about again?
Trying to find it. MIT made graphene into something super strong. Let me see if I can get the original MIT announcement of it, because that's probably the most detailed. Let's see.
About a 2D graphene into a super strong 3D art.
Yeah. Here's the MIT link.
And that I did a register one.
Yeah, that's good too. But yeah, so the MIT one might be a little bit longer, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It's as far as building stuff, that's going to be the game changer. The big thing with this is that it's not just graphene. In other words, it's the geometric shape or the geometric design that they were able to come up with during this process, and applying that same design to all existing materials seems to produce an improvement in their strength. And that means you'll be able to, anything that we can make today will be stronger and lighter in the future. So that's huge for the construction of like things like bridges and planes and cars and almost any, it's so applicable across so many wide ranging things. And I think something like this will truly change future designs once it's in the process. I mean, I don't know that they're actively building anything with it right now. I think it's just been demonstrated, but probably take some time for that to start happening. But once it does, it should be great, because it doesn't sound like that geometry difference is anything really drastically different than what they're currently doing with advanced material designs. So the cost shouldn't be there, but imagine the performance improvement.
Yeah. Well, I thought this was pretty interesting. Apparently, in the creators update of Windows 10, which will be out this April, they're going to have an option to lower blue light automatically. So people that are not fans of blue light can have that lowered automatically for them. Interesting. And it looks like Windows will show warmer colors to make it easier to sleep at night. And they lower them, you can have them lower automatically at sunset or set your own hours. But if you're not on a preview build, you're going to have to wait until April for that to come out. I came across this article and I was kind of interested in it. A, because it's drone related, but B, because it's also why I'm not a big fan of this whole Kickstarter crowdfunding thing. Apparently, Lily Robotics was a highly popular drone concept, and they raised 34 million in pre-orders. And apparently they blew through most all of that on research and development, and now they're going to hopefully give you your money back if you pre-ordered. But you know how those kind of things go, so that's why I don't get things until they actually come out on the market.
Turns out your shipping and handling bill goes up to offset the cost that you did.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I question those things.
Yeah, crowdfunding's a great idea if you're just looking to donate to a good idea, but I definitely would not try to buy something and expect to get it. Not to say that there aren't ones that do come out. I mean, Pebble was highly successful one at doing that, but it's very few and far between, I feel. Hey, Michael, there's more reason for you to not have pictures of you. Japanese scientists were able to extract fingerprints from photos taken up to 3 meters away. So if you give a peace sign, they could have just stolen my fingerprints right there. Yeah, keep that in mind. And I have heard of things like that where but usually it's much closer. The picture has to be much closer to be able to pull a fingerprint off. But
yeah, peace signs.
But I mean, it's anything like if you could be waving at somebody like this,
Yeah,
they would
yeah.
have all your fingerprints.
Well, see, it's interesting because the article is largely framed in the contents of the peace sign, but you're absolutely right. That's just one minor usage of it. There's any hand models.
Yeah.
What sort of insurance are they going to have to get now because of this?
Well, I mean, I think it's the biggest thing is that you can't rely on fingerprint scanning, which, I mean, that's becoming a highly popular thing on cell phone devices, especially. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to secure something, probably don't use your fingerprint for it, because if there's a picture of you out there that has it, they could possibly get it and get into your device that way. So apparently also Amazon is adding over 100,000 full-time, full benefit US jobs over the next 18 months. They say that it's going to be people, but I'm wondering how many of those are going to end up being replaced by robots eventually, especially with how focused Amazon is on doing drones and things like that. But hey, it's a good thing. They're definitely out there and hiring, although Amazon has not been the best place to work for, I hear. So you got to take what you will. Like to the point where some people have to camp out back of the factory and work there instead of going home at night, because it would cost more for them to go home at night than it would to sleep in a tent behind the factory. That's pretty bad. I think that was over in the UK or Ireland or somewhere like that. And thought this was a pretty neat little extension here. If you happen to look for books on Amazon, this will actually search your local libraries and see if there are available copies of it. instead of spending money on books, you could just go to your local library. Hopefully that will encourage people to use their local libraries. Similar item here for those of you in the European markets. There's a extension that will compare prices at all 5 European Amazons. I did not know that there were 5 European Amazons, but apparently there are. And we're getting about the last few minutes of our hour here. I thought this was pretty interesting. One of my favorite shows that's just started season 12, and they got extremely high view ratings on their first episode of season 12. But here's every episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia ranked by this person, and it is pretty close. Those are pretty good episodes that they have in the top 10. So, but overall, I think every single episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia is awesome. Like I said, they're getting into their 12th season right now. I think they have 2 episodes out for that. And man, if you haven't watched the other 11 seasons, highly recommend it. You can watch them all on Netflix right now if you want to. It's a great show. I really love it.
Has Frank died yet?
No, Frank's never gonna die. Frank's not gonna die until Frank actually dies. Like, till what's his name, Danny DeVito actually dies, I imagine. And then, like, I bet they have somewhere in a contract that they're gonna be able to use his dead body for the show somehow.
Oh wow. Okay.
It just seems like that would be something that show would do. It is a great show, though. Highly recommend it. And you can watch it from there, or like I said, I would recommend watching it from season 1, just going forward. It's a great show. If you liked Westworld, the young version, or the young guy that they follow in the series is in Always Sunny in Philadelphia, so highly recommend it. Otherwise, we had talked about some using your voice to do things on the computer. Apparently, Adobe has demoed a virtual assistant for voice-based photo editing. Man, if you thought controlling your computer was hard with just speech, can you imagine trying to edit a photo like that? I think that would be almost impossible. And we had talked recently about that Mongo database thing taking over like tens of thousands of websites and basically encrypting all their data in ransomware form. Apparently, the group behind that has put the script up for sale. It looks like they're going for a much cheaper price than those other crazy NSA tool people, and they're only looking for 9.8 Bitcoin, which at the time of that article looks like it was about 7,700. Bitcoin's been fluctuating a whole lot in this past week, and it's at about 835 now, so 9.8 is just over 8,000 now. So we had talked about it, and a lot of it was just changing your default passwords and making sure you're enabling good security on your website to try to avoid that. So, all right, well, last link here just for fun is if you're ever interested in hearing accents around the world, apparently there's a interactive map that you can click on and hear the accent. Pretty neat, pretty nifty. That was pretty cool. So otherwise, does anyone else have anything else they want to bring up or talk about real quick?
I'm good. Thanks, though.
Good. All right. Well, we will be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. for our Friday show. Thanks everyone for joining us. Quark, Phoenix, Whiskers, very much appreciated having you interact and talk with us here. Again, just to remind you, we are here mainly to provide support and answer any questions about our products and services. If you do have any of those in the meantime, you can always contact our support by the various means we have available on our website. Past that, we will be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. If you want to talk to us directly about anything or get some demos on stuff, we'll be more than happy to do that. And we will see you all tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Take us on out, Proctor. Bye, the internet.